this anymore. You lied. And I died. You lied! And I died!
So it's finally here, people. It Chapter 2. As being a huge fan of the original, including the miniseries and book by Stephen King, I thought I need to come on here and just say a little few words about the film itself, plus the impact it's had on my life and a lot of other people's lives. You know, that bloody Pennywise is quite a scary bastard, so yeah, let's just get into it. Now, I'm not going to spoil the film, even though, you know, there's been the book and the miniseries. They do change a few things up here and there, which I won't go into detail. So, the film itself, was it any good? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I actually thought it was quite good. The flaws of the film is not actually the film itself. Neither is it the writing. It's just the story itself. The whole storyline about the losers when they were kids, it was always more intriguing. It was always far more engaging. So now we get the adult storyline. And even in the miniseries and the book, it was never as interesting. And there's a few reasons why I believe that is. So the casting of the losers that are now grown up, done so to perfection. They were all extremely well casted and extremely well acted. However, one little gripe with the film, and it's something they couldn't control, the kids in the flashbacks, yeah, they've aged. And they do use the de-aging special effects extremely well here. The problem is, we see Finn Wolfhard in Stranger Things, so we know he does not look like that these days. So, to the naked eye, it probably isn't as noticeable, but if you watch Stranger Things, yeah, you can tell they've used effects to make him look younger. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, what can be said? He completely nails the role again. He makes it his own. He's definitely cemented his feet in the Pennywise legacy, so to speak. So he's, you know what Tim Curry did for the miniseries, terrified the shit out of me, and it worked so well. Now we've got that for your new generation, so, you know, props to you, Bill. You did a good job. You did a good job. Now, the one negative I keep hearing about the film itself is that it's drawn out. It feels long. And yeah, look, I'm not going to deny that it does. There is minutes in the middle sequence that it kind of bogs down in retelling things we already know. Yes, the losers, they're scared of Pennywise as kids, but as they're relearning this themselves, we're re-watching them relearn it. So it does need to be a part of the story, but yeah, it does feel drawn out. And that's the thing, with it was never a horror film to me. It was more of like a dark drama, and always was. But with that said, yeah, the miniseries, it scared the shit out of me as a kid, and I've got a reason why. When the miniseries aired, I was like 6 or 7, something like that. I remember falling asleep in front of the TV, so obviously it really had an impact on me back then. However, I awoke to this image of Tim Curry's glowing, scary-ass eyes in my face, and that shit haunted me for years. You know, about 2-3 years passed, and eventually I got the VHS tape, rewatched it, and thought to myself, what the hell was I actually scared of in the first place? And that's what makes the story of it so well. It's actually not the clown. It's the losers club that's the terrifying fact. You know, these kids, this bunch of losers are part of a club, and that's all they've got, is each other. No adult believes them, the town is just messed up, and that's what makes this whole storyline terrifying. Which is also why when they're adults, it doesn't work as well as when they're kids. Because as kids, we know they've got no one to rely on, so we relate to that more than we do when they're adults. And I still remember after rewatching the miniseries and thinking to myself, why was I scared of this? I had to read the book. Somehow this story just latched onto me, and I just embraced it and still love it to this day. Like I said, with Chapter 2, you know, the adults are casted to perfection, mirroring their junior selves. And as actors separately, you can't fault them. James McAvoy is brilliant at anything he's in. Same with Jessica Chastain. So, you know, they literally embrace these roles and make it their own. As for the scares of the film, I think people will be disappointed, but as to me, it was never about the jump scares. You know, you do get your occasional Pennywise jumping out and scaring the shit out of everyone. But even with the first one, Chapter 1, I heard all the criticism was that it wasn't scary enough. And it's not the jump scares that is meant to be the terrifying part. It's the psychological scares. That's what Stephen King is good at. Like I said, when I was a kid, that shot of Tim Curry with his glowing eyes and just the nature of this supernatural being that terrorizes kids and devours them and eats them, is the eater of worlds, so to speak. That shit is far more terrifying than just someone in Clownmaker going, boo, be scared. As for the changes, I'm not going to get into them because I don't want to spoil them, but they do work here. I think the changes aren't going to disappoint anyone who's a fan of the book, and I don't think anyone who's a fan of the miniseries isn't going to be disappointed with the changes too. So that might give you a little hint leading towards the final battle with Pennywise. And you know, like I said, with any criticism, yeah, it's really just that runtime. It does feel long, it does feel drawn out. However, it does bring you into that world again, and it does remind you the whole direction of the film, the look of the film, the music, the acting, everything else just fits, including the changes, including what they kept from the original miniseries, to, you know, tributes to Tim Curry. It just kind of gels well together, especially with Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. It would be great to watch them back to back. Be a long bloody film, but it'd be interesting to see how they merge together. I already know a lot of people who've watched the first one in anticipation for this one, so I'd love to know what their thoughts are leading into this. Does it gel well together? I think it does. You know, but I also might be biased because I'm a fan of the book, and yeah, giving a honest review of this is kind of hard because, yeah, I am a biased fan. I've loved it, and I loved the novel of it. I love almost everything about it. My wife hates the fact that I love it because she will never watch this damn film with me, and I can understand why. It scared the shit out of her as it did everyone else. And it's so weird because, you know, this character terrorized me as a kid, and for somehow I became so fascinated with it. It's like, you know, Batman and bats, what feared him he embraced. You know, not that I'm going to run around and be an evil clown, will I? So yeah, that's it, Chapter 2, people. If I had to give it a rating out of 5, look, it'd be probably a good solid 4. I would put Chapter 1 just above it. As I said, look, the whole children's storyline was always more engaging than what the adult storyline was. So I think no matter what they tried to do with this sequel, it was never going to reach the heights of the first one. But it gets close. It does exactly what it needed to do with what it had to work with. So people, that is it. It's Chapter 2. It's confusing me to say that more than once. Yeah, tell us what you think about it. I mean, I'm sure people have their own thoughts. I think people will be quite pleased with it. I'm sure there are going to be the negatives that go with it, but overall I think people will get a kick out of this film. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please be sure to give us a thumbs up, a like, maybe even subscribe to the channel. You never know, you might enjoy the content. And be sure to head over to the Facebook page, and there you can follow us there as well. So this has been Wayne of the OBN Network, and we'll see you next time.